We, amend to that.
People asking for
second the motion.
Practical. Okay.
No, I would really love it if we could have an informal gathering. We used to do it with Arnold Azurin in ISMED, and it would always end with people screaming, but it was always very productive. So I think that something like that, that's a little more, less chaotic and more structured, less agency and more structure, meaning probably sponsored under the aegis of one department, or at least someone should organize it and provide some kind of, refreshments at the end of it, no? That kind of thing. Spirits, we can talk more and more. I'm very interested actually in the topic of orality, and I think I want to talk to the Dean of CSSP to organize a kind of forum on orality, because my pet theory is that lies at the root of our problem as a country. We have only been recently textual, only 100 years of textual consciousness. Previous to that, we have been mostly oral. And according to Walter Ong, who is the sort of specialist on orality and literacy, oral mentality has certain characteristics. And if you look at each one of them, the problems that we face, corruption, the inability to think categorically, the red light can be a green light if you want it to be. All these different things actually are rooted in that kind of provisional oral memory or consciousness that is somehow resistant to the idea of categorical thought. And that's what we need probably to insist upon, that we become more categorical, no? So probably something like a next topic doesn't have, and then we can still talk about complexity within that context, I think. But maybe I'm challenging the Dean of CSSP to think of something like that. Doesn't have to be that, but something.
Okay, but I would
because I think that the social sciences are in between. You are in the best position to provide the forum. You are in between us, the crazy artists, and then the scientists. You're in between. The crazy scientists also, yes.
Okay, but I'd like to take up the caveat of Dr. Nemensu too. I mean, there is talk and there is conversation. So if we do organize something, it shouldn't be something where people talk past each other, but they're able to talk to each other.
Correct.
And maybe that's where we need to find practical concerns like morality. I think traffic is a wonderful topic to tackle using complexity theory, and the National Academy of Science and Technology has actually scheduled that. No, they haven't put the dates yet, but they're thinking of one. And I said, I hope it won't be all engineering talk. We certainly need, if we're going to talk about traffic, we have to look at complexity theory. Okay, yes, Dr. Concepcion, are you going to commit now to a Center for Chaos Studies?
A virtual center, perhaps,
a virtual
with committed
center.
people. So it always boils down to a commitment because of we're all busy doing our things in our silos, and now this is getting out of the box and committing to talk to one another in different disciplines. But the commitment really has to be from those who were chosen or elected as leaders of our institution. So in the university, there is some kind of a moral responsibility from the top to create a vision and a strategic, plan, and that's in place under President Pascual. But that cannot take ground if we do not commit to participation and consultation and hearing the views of the like-minded and the committed, responsible members of our community. So that's one linearity, you might say, that goes from top to bottom and bottom to up. So the communication has to be continuous, and there's got to be integration. But there's another linearity or a chain that we must commit to, and that is the value chain. That is the role of the university as the center of innovation, of ideas, of creativity, generating blue sky, high in the sky research and creative work. Okay, that's not based on well, what's needed by society, because, well, we should not be encumbered simply by that. But then the other part is that our public service requires that we be sensitive to what the problems are in society, and so we can try to solve these problems by coming up with policy papers, written word, not just oral, not just orality, not just discussions, because this is what brings our level of commitment to a higher level. So if you write down what you said, then there's more commitment. And this is something that we can then give to government to try to see how higher education can be made a priority by our government. So I'm trying to emphasize not just discussions or conversations, but action. What's the action plan? What's going to result from, a complexity center? Okay, we can continue talking among ourselves, but we do not come up with an action plan that we can give to government. Then I think, the problems in our country will not be solved. On the other hand, at our level, there are problems that we can solve within our community, but also in relation to problems relating to health, environment, education. But for this, we don't need just natural scientists or social scientists. We need artists, culture experts, anthropologists, humanists who can communicate and put in that cultural insight. As you say, problems are always culture-based, and therefore our solutions must be culture-sensitive. So I think this in itself, beyond the conversation, the complexity approach, the integration should result in action that's integrated and multifaceted.
Okay. There's one. I thought we should field one more question
that theme is very important.
From someone younger. Go ahead,
Hi.
young man.
Hello, panel, everyone. I'm Ulysses Salon from Mathematics. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Nemenso for inviting me here. I would like to ask my question straightforward. We are in this symposium or this forum discussing the good effects of collaboration between disciplines and discussing complex dynamical systems. However, can you see any negative effects of collaboration? Can you give reasons why not to pursue this thing between the disciplines? Well, that's all.
Parang null hypothesis dito, no? Sige.
I am an abased fan of networking. To me, networking is really the way to go. I mean, that's what the young are doing. The new millennials, they're networking among themselves. Even business entities are now networking among themselves, collaborating to develop new products, new innovative products, rather than competing with each other or cutting each other's throat. Now, frankly, I am hard put in finding what negative could possibly come out of collaboration or in networking, because even if something vile or evil results from a network, the network itself has certain built-in mechanisms to correct this, peer pressure and so on, so that eventually good will prevail. So I am very optimistic about the promise of networking, collaborative strategies.
There's only one possible negative effect. Too much spirit is imbibed.
Yes,
And it can
alcoholism.
lead to,
yeah.
otherwise, in vino veritas, so beer and wine, they're
Should
good
be fine.
because truth will come out. The real thing will come out of the conversation. But if there's too much of it, then it could be destructive.
I would say, just to be more specific, at least within this administration, I've sensed an openness to dialogue across disciplines and an encouragement for all of us to sort of get together and talk. So certainly the effects can only be good. We can start entertaining negative effects when probably we've been doing this now for like 10 years and nothing's good has come out of it. But we're just starting, so everything has to be good because, you know, at least we're doing something. I think that certainly the people here, this is an example. Nothing terrible came out, I suppose. This is it. We just replicate this, you know.
It looks like we do have a consensus of having more of these
Yes.
types of dialogues. And to include, let's not forget the other campuses. Originally, we had people from the others, but they could not make it for this morning. My co-moderator, would you like to